For the first time in this year's BoyleSports Irish Greyhound Derby, the remaining competitors were all in action on the one night. And to say it delivered fireworks would be quite the understatement. And what a bang it started with. Kevin Hennessy joins me as always. We did start with the greatest firework of them all, perhaps one of the greatest displays I've ever seen from a racing greyhound. The night Pastana broke 29 seconds, I was left, dumbstruck. Tonight wasn't as much of a shock. He did 29.03 last week. But tonight, Bockos Diamond did 28.94. I'm not sure any greyhound anywhere has ever gone faster. It was absolutely sensational. And it was clear from the early stages that he was doing some running. He seemed to be out-trapped by Carrick-Aldo. He quickened up past Carrick-Aldo as if Carrick-Aldo was a grader. Carrick-Aldo was an Irish Sprint Cup champion. In defeat tonight, he is one of the fastest qualifiers by some margin. It was nothing short of sensational. 16.63, 28.94. I think we'll be talking about Bockos Diamond for many years to come. Pastana didn't go on to win the Derby. Bockos Diamond is a red-hot favourite to do so. He still has work to do, but I'll tell you one thing, it's going to need a special greyhound to beat him.
Yeah, I don't know where to start with trying to beat him. But look, the 28.94 was incredible, but the 16.63 just blew my mind. To those watching, that I wouldn't be the biggest sectional. I know you know them all from the third bend home and to the third bend, but in the Derby I always get familiar with them, and I know it's probably the 100th time we've mentioned that the 17-second barrier last year was broken twice. He's absolutely shattering it. Yeah. I stood here with you watching Pastana, watching Newen Taylor, and then having the pleasure to watch Susie Sapphire go to the third bend, and I genuinely didn't think we'd ever see the likes to the third bend in the calibre of greyhound that they're doing it in. And he's not beating them, he's hammering them to that point. And like you said, Susie was brilliant from a box. Pastana was brilliant from a box. They had the brute early to go along with it. This lad doesn't need to trap. He can trap
3:30 tonight.
3:30, and like you said, people said to me down below, he didn't get away. He probably got away as well as he gets away. His brilliance is not a trap race. Like Susie was a brilliant trapper. Pastana was a brilliant trapper. He's not a brilliant trapper, but he is.
He's not too bad.
No, he's good. But he's. We've never seen the likes of it to the first bend and to the third bend. I have never seen the likes of it. I remember here, I think it was the first round you said to me, if this lad went to Dundalk, he'd break 20.50, and I thought it was.
I think I'm reassessing it.
Well, I
think he might do 20.40 to be
Well,
honest.
I thought when you said it, I thought it was a sort of a flippant comment, just a throwaway. But it's serious, it really is. I know Broadstrand Sid had a better of him early in his earlier career, and I'm not knocking Broadstrand Sid at all. I'm a massive fan of that. But if you put them in a match race now, to the third bend, Bockos Diamond's odds on. He would be in the 400 in Dundalk. He'd be odds on, and you'd be a brave man to lay him, because he's just poetry in motion. He doesn't. I remember saying to you and Susie, she was the best bend runner I'd ever seen, and she still is. But this lad doesn't miss a beat on the corner. He's going in so hard.
Just doesn't miss a beat anywhere.
No, but
he's flawless.
He's travelling into the first bend at 1,000,000 miles an hour. He's so fast into the corner. You'd imagine he'd have to take a step to steady himself. He doesn't. He just glides around those two bends, and even in again him, you have to admire him. He's just incredible. Look, I know we have the task of trying to beat him, but dogs like him don't come along too often, and we have to stand back and admire them, because genuinely, this is racing excellence in full flow, and he set the benchmark tonight. And look, we got some fantastic runners along the way, but he's in a different league at the moment.
Carrick-Aldo does 29.15 in second.
Unbelievable.
He's the second fastest qualifier tonight. He runs his heart out. He absolutely ran his heart out. He bolted out of trap 6, and he just runs into a freak of nature. He runs an incredible race, and even back in third, Superfast Gordon probably ran his best race for quite some time. But getting back to Bockos Diamond, you can say all you like about him. You can reach for every superlative you can. You're probably still not doing him justice, and we don't know yet what sort of price he's going to be in the morning. But I don't think he'll be seeing 2-1.
I was going to say 6-4, so we're not too far off. I put it this way, and this is how I always come down to sort of leave money chances. I always sort of go, would I have him or the rest of the field? And on the going right now, I'd take him. So, do you know what I mean? So even probably anything better than evens, I'd probably back him. And I won't be backing. I don't really back myself. But
we're at a situation where there are 9 wide seeds left, and he will get to a stage where he could be in 4 or 5, but none of those wide seeds are ones that dart left or dart right. They're all pretty straight. So I just can't see where he gets a terrible draw. Like, he can get a tricky draw with really fast dogs around him. But if he traps like that, even just level terms, just not a dog to live with him. Like, we have to reassess, like, the Bombay Pat Bockos Diamond talk from the first round. I think Bombay or Bockos Diamond would be 5 clear into the second bend.
And I don't think there's a world where Bombay Pat would out-trap him either. So he's probably going to have to come from behind him. And Carrick Aldo was the one. Like, when I stood here after the first round, I said, like, it's not trying to get him beaten. I'm not, but you're trying to see, like, where would life get tricky? And Carrick Aldo was the one. I said if he was drawn outside Carrick Aldo, he'd have a fair job to go around him. He hammered him last week, and this week, when I say hammered him, I mean into the corner. This week he's drawn inside him, and you're wondering, right? Okay, well, will he edge out into him? But he's just gone on him. And to touch on Carrick Aldo, like you said, he has been phenomenal the last 2 weeks. He has ran into a juggernaut, and that's the truth. Like, people were questioning Carrick Aldo, would he get the 550? He hadn't ran in a 550, like you said, he's a Spring Cup champion. But like, in that under a year, Carrick Aldo is possibly favoured. Like he's running that well. He's just ran into a juggernaut. We saw 7 beats come up against him earlier in the career. This is a different Bockos Diamond. I don't know where he's come from, because when I saw him in Kenny, I did not have him down as a speedster or a burner. I thought he was
he looked a strong running dog that first
dog,
night. Yeah.
And he's just his racing style has just changed, in whether it's with age or since he's gone to Graham, but whatever they've done, it's worked. And
with age, he's only September.
That's it. Lee Craze was here with me tonight, and I think about Don and Lee. He was like Kevin, like, this dog realistically could be running in the Irish Derby, not this year, not just next year, but the following year, because he'd only be 4. Like, he'd be only, and that's a scary thought. Like, I don't, no dog, like, he has everything. But I, like you said, just overall view of that race, like, we've given all the superlatives, and rightly so, to Bockos Diamond. I thought Carrick Aldo was phenomenal in second, and on Superfast Gordon, that was a real come back to life run for him, in my opinion. Like, he sparked, he's run away from the other 3 down the back and into the third bend. I know he's not closing, but he's keeping into them, and we know the time was there, so very good run.
He's doing 29.45 or so.
Yeah.
Bockos Diamond, he's 12 in a row now. Ballymacbriar was well drawn on the fence. He was a big price. He was the dog I spoke of a few times earlier in the competition, and of course, I didn't have a nibble on him at biggish prices. I fancied Tarzan Amassai, but he just didn't quite get the lead that he needed into the opening corner. It was all very tight in the bend. There was 5 of them within a length of each other, and on the inside is where you want to be. Ballymacbriar found himself left in front, but the laddie da slipped down in behind him, and I thought his goose is cooked here, Ballymacbriar. But he showed in the opening round in particular that he was really sort of stayed on well in defeat. He looked he was in trouble that night, but he kept on going. The laddie da probably wanted to be in the same racing line as well. Scooby Pacemaker again showed all sorts of pace, arrived into the third bend, came between runners and looked a serious threat. And while the 2 of them were really coming at him, Ballymacbriar did stick on gamely to beat Scooby Pacemaker and the laddie da. It was an eventful contest, but I think Ballymacbriar ran very well to win it.
Yeah, he did, and look, it was very unfortunate for Bubbly Shadow. He was a very impressive winner here last week. Looked to be really coming back into himself. Didn't get away well, and just getting injured going into the first bend, it appeared like. But like you said, Ballymacbriar, he hadn't started like he had in the 5.25s. I think this was probably his best sectional tonight. 3.49. It's actually similar enough to what he had been doing, but he seemed to get away a bit better than he had done in recent starts. Very brave at the opening corner to win and hold his line. Like you, off the second bend, I fully expected the laddie da to be too strong and overpowerful. I just thought the laddie da didn't really run the third and fourth bend particularly well. He seemed to be closing to a point, and
probably just had his line taken.
Yeah,
something like that. He just wanted to be exactly where Ballymacbriar was on that sort of racing line.
Yeah, it was something like that, because going into the third bend, he got the sort of 3 parts of length behind, and then he's a length and a half behind within 2 strides. He just seemed to lose that sort of momentum and the length, and he did come back at him again, coming to the line. Like, I thought he was second, but Scooby Pacemaker, like you said, this lad showed tonight that last week's run was no fluke, because he's got no run early, and he's absolutely thundering into the third bend. Like you said, tried to go up the middle of the 2 dogs, didn't get a cleanest run, and off the last bend, like the Ballymacbriar dog, he's really starting to stick it out now, and he's a gutsy dog, and he's only a young dog, October 22, but in his earlier career he showed all early. He's showing a bit more strength now and determination, and he's just going under the radar every night. Like, he's never the flashiest dog, never the fanciest clock dog, but you know, if he can keep getting better at the starts, he's showing good determination. And
Liam getting his 2 through,
yeah.
You know, he's the maestro.
Yeah.
Moving on to Heat 3, this was a 4-dog affair, and you know, as so often happens, everyone says, all the extra room and whatnot. How many times have you seen bunching and crowding in a 4-dog affair? It's always the way. As it was, Untold Dollar was the one that came in for support. It's hardly surprising. He had nothing in 2 and 3. And you expected that if he trapped on terms, he'd been a lovely pitch going into the bend. Again, he didn't trap. Again, he sort of left himself with work to do. And while he's charging up into the opening corner, he did not want to drive the bend. Now, as it was, he did enough to nudge trap 4 Ishi there, who then obviously sort of a domino type effect hit Glengar Martha, who in turn gave Seven Beach a right old wallop on the outside. Now, he recovered very quickly, but all of a sudden Untold Dollar went from sort of being sort of minding himself for a stride, but also nudging the 4 dog in fourth spot to leading off the second bend. And once doing so, that was it. It was curtains. Seven Beach ran a great second bend to get back into second spot and was down by about 2 lengths at one point, but Untold Dollar stretched onto that third bend and really kept going to the line. Like, he posts 29.34 off a 17.24. You know, if he had driven that opening corner, or if he had trapped, like, it could have easily been 17 seconds, 29.10. That's where the frustration is with this dog. But tonight may stand to him. Confidence of getting out on the bunny and running hard from the second bend home. Is there a start in there, or is it just a case of we're going to be hoping for that bit of luck in the corner every night?
Yeah, it looks like that. I know you're invested. Obviously, he was the one that you tipped up, like, and he's got all the ability. Like, and I think this goes back to anyone trying to wonder how good of a run Bockos Diamond was. Like, this is doing 17.24 to the third bend. Like, he's some 60 spots behind. He's almost 10 lengths behind Bockos Diamond to the third bend, and he's left in front at the first. Like,
now, he does hesitate in the corner himself, and he takes the bump and whatnot. So, like, you can definitely take 3 lengths off that, but he's still 6 lengths behind.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. That's the point I'm making. Like, everyone knows the ability that Untold Dollar has. He just does seem to be that sort of way. Like, he just doesn't really drive through the opening gaps, and he can fluff a start. Like, he has had 20 races. He's 21 races now. He still has 11 wins. Like, he still finds a way generally most nights. Now, look, if you put him in with the likes of a Bockos Diamond and all them, you have to do absolutely everything right to be competitive. To be competitive. So if you're looking for outright honours, he's going to have to be braver and improve at the boxes and do plenty of things right. But, like, most nights, it's going to be hard to find 3 dogs to finish behind him. Do you know what I mean? Like, so he's going to be a hard dog to keep out of frame, and I can see him still qualifying. Seven Beach, I run out of superlatives for him. Like,
he's beaten 6 lengths, but he runs a great race.
He's 68 pounds weight. Like, he's the size.
Takes a right wallop.
He's the right size of a bitch, and he got wiped over at the first bend. And like you said, it's head down, and how quickly he recovered to get himself into a position again was admirable. He's closed on Untold Dollar into the third bend briefly,
but he's done his work by that point,
and then he's emptied up the home straight. But I'm mad about the dog. I really am. And I think Jennifer's going to have great fun with him. And then, is she there for Eugene Price? Like, you know, I know there was only the 4 in there. She was probably, I'm sure, the outsider of the 4, but she's still hanging in there, and she's into the draw for next week.
She sure is. We move on to Heat 4, and you think there was plenty happening in the previous 2 heats. Here we go. Right. A Lucky Julie flashes out. March on Freddie joins her into the opening corner and goes ahead of her. Meanwhile, Grange Clare Ladies improving up the inside off a slightly slower start than she'd normally have. It looks like March on Freddie's going to drive the corner, go around in front and probably win 6 lengths. As it is, he gets clipped from the heels and Grange Clare Lady gives him the bump. He loses his sort of momentum and all of a sudden finds himself in a trappy position with strong runners improving. All of a sudden, Tono Charlie finds a seam and you think, God, you're through, good luck. I don't know. I've watched it 10 times. I don't know what happens. Connection seems to think maybe he saw something. I didn't know whether he staked the rail or he clipped or got balked or whatnot. It's very hard to tell from the angle the camera's at. All I know is that he was an absolute certainty at the second bend. He is sent packing. He's back, way back the field. He runs on like a train. He's only beaten 3 parts of a length to qualify. Meanwhile, Extra Gain takes control. We know how strong he is. March on Freddie gets racing again to beating only half a length. A Lucky Julie absolutely flies from halfway to be only beaten a half length into third. She's clear into the escape, and Tono Charlie gets going, and he's only narrowly beaten into fourth. It was an eventful contest, to say the least. Extra Gain was a fortuitous winner, but he was in a lovely pitch and tracked it well. Meanwhile, I think the big story is probably second, third and fourth. I think March on Freddie ran a hell of a race. He's beaten a half length in 29.82 and he could have been winning in 29.20.
Yeah, no, look, I think you summed it up perfectly. I don't think there's much more to add. Again, we're back here. We don't want to be back here. And I nailed my colours to the mast fairly strongly on Crafty Chivu, and I'm going to do the exact same with Tuono Charlie. I've never seen anything in his career ever, either over 4 bends or 6 bends, to ever suggest that this dog has a bad bone in his body. I watched it 3 or 4 times like you. I didn't see a fighting movement or a turning the head gesture.
Nor did he clash with a dog or anything like that.
No, he didn't interfere. It was almost like you said, he got clipped, but it doesn't appear, you can't really see where he got clipped. Whether he's, I would be like Connections, I don't know what he thinks he saw, but he clearly thought he saw something. And that was my reading of it. And I'd be quite strong on that. Like, I know the guys in the office probably had to call the stewards inquiry. I didn't hear the outcome of it now or whatever, but like, it wasn't the...
Oh, there's nothing on it.
Yeah, and I think that they probably had to do that, but there was nothing in it, and like, he never went out...
Stewards inquiry means they're just looking at it, basically.
Exactly, yeah. And he carried on. Like, you know, if he was going to have a go or do anything untoward, he would have followed through with it, or even again at the third bend. Like, and he's come through them again, like a night through water down to the third bend and chased them on. It's desperately sad for Connections. Like, I know it's probably a talking point on social media.
They were texting me later in the evening, asking me what I thought happened. As I said to them, like, I've watched it 10 times, I couldn't tell you.
Yeah.
You know, I'm probably the worst angle for it because there's people on the stands have a better view. But, you know, it was one of those things where I couldn't say definitively what I thought happened or not.
Yeah, no, and I only watched it on the video. I didn't get to see it outside, but from what I saw, and again, like,
if you offer me evens for the 750-yard contest Derby final night, though, I'd have a few quid on.
I don't think you're going to get even somehow or another now. But look, it's sad because he was a real good story in the competition, and more than just that. He was more than a story. His last run last week proved that. I would love to know what time he would have done on tonight's going if he'd have got. And he was so clever as well. Like, he's trapped reasonably well, but Grange Clare Ladies just outpaced him into the corner, and you can see him just ease back, come inside, say, right, I'll follow you around. And then he didn't even have to follow him around. He's landed in front, and you're just saying, right, what clock
he's
will
another
he
one doing 20.
What clock will he do? And that, but look, we'll have to focus now on the first three. As you said, extra gain. If you're not in, you can't win. And that was the situation. He's landed in front. It can happen in a dog race, in any dog race. And once he's taken up command, he's gone on to win quite convincingly at a big price. March on Freddie. Again, you'd love to see. I know people were talking him down, I suppose, last week, and I'm sure if he doesn't get that clip, he goes round in front, he does a massive run, and everyone's back on top of the world about him. It just goes to show the ups and downs of greyhound racing.
He actually ran very hard into the corner.
Huge.
Like a Lucky Julie gets a length of him at boxes, and he charges past her. Now, I know her weakest part of our whole race is that 50 or 60 yards into the corner, but like, he'd gone past her, and just, I think she just clawed his heels, and then Grange Clare Lady is there to prevent him from getting across again. He is trying to get across, though. That is worth pointing out. The same with his brother, only his brother will be probably 5 lengths in front at that point.
Yeah, no, but like, look, you have to admire David for bringing him over and taking it on, and the Derby's a better Derby for him being in there, and the Connections, he's doing them all very, very proud. And
well, George was here for the draw, so like, he's clearly invested. He's delighted. He just wanted to go over the first round. He just didn't want the dog to make a fool of himself. I said, well, Dave, I think, George, you've fairly achieved that.
That's done, And Lucky, just on a Lucky Julie, like, how are you going to keep her out of frame? I don't know what the price on the top bitch is.
Tonight was the first night where I went, okay, she could be a finalist.
Oh yeah, no, guaranteed. Like her run the first round, off the break, it was off. The gears she showed was phenomenal, and she's getting better. Like, and it'll be some crack to see Jerry Mealy in the final with her.
Big Jim. Big Jim. I've described it once or twice tonight on the Tannoy as he was like a ballerina around the opening two bends, tiptoed around the outside, took the bump, showed the great balance and grace and poise, and got going again. And he had to, because the Bull Falcon found himself in a lovely pitch off the second bend. And if you are on Bandabola Jim at sort of 6-4, 11-8 sort of prices, you're going, uh-oh. And in fairness to him, like, he has a 31.90 odd over 600 yards. We know how strong he is. That goes to highlight how strong the Bull Falcon was running. But Balnabola Jim is now 7 straight. He absolutely loves this place. He loves the striped jacket. And I'm not sure, is he in 5 the next night? That'll make a difference. But listen, it's like this. He's a terrific greyhound in terrific form, and it's now time we start showing him the respect he is due. I think we have been, but Big Jim is here and he means business. Yeah, no, look, like, it's. I know probably at the start of the competition, yourself and Barry had the joke about him being Big Jim, and but like, this dog announced himself really last week, and tonight was just phenomenal. And I'll tell you the thing that'll scare a lot of people, like the Bull Falcon, like you said, is turned in a real good position. And I think it proved tonight, if anyone had any question marks, not that they would have had any question marks over Balnabola Jim, but
there isn't a dog left in the Derby, including my own BoyleSports Bob, that I'd fancy picking him up. Like I don't think it's possible. And he done a 3:38 here last week. He's proven he can do close to the 3:40. He keeps doing 3:40 with the runs he can do from halfway. He's going to be some dog to try and keep out of frame, but he's absolutely flying. And Brendan Murphy's doing some job on him. Like you said, 7 wins on the bounce. He's found a new lease of life, and he just seems to be. You touched on it with Untold Dollar. Like sometimes a dog just needs that bit of confidence, and he's just like it's oozing out of every pore in his body, and he's absolutely flying.
A dog his size, the rhythm of a derby is obviously suiting him ideally. Like I wouldn't say, like, is he off his bench too much during the week? Like a gallop sometime during the week, I'd imagine. But I would say this dog is just. Like he's just running into fit. Like he's at peak fitness now. Yeah. He'll just continue to enjoy the rhythm of it. Like 550 yards won't take all that much out of him. We know how strong he is. Is that how you deal with this type of dog? You just sort of leave him at it now at this point?
Whatever they've done to this point, I'll keep doing it. Yeah. Like, you know, different dogs for different things. Some dogs take loads of work. Some dogs, you know, it can take them a day or two to get overrun, and the less work is the better. So I don't know what Brendan's doing, but whatever he's doing, I wouldn't change anything because he has this dog singing. And the Bold Falcon, we said it here in the first round, like how do you keep him out of frame? You know, I made reference to him being a sort of a Beach Avenue type of dog, and he's so clever. I think that's what goes with it. Like, and
it's easier for these dogs to be clever at this stage of the Derby because it is hotter. There are dogs flying up on the outside of the track, and the 9 wide seeds are definitely helping the likes of the Bold Falcon. These types of dogs on the inside where they can pick their spots. You know, once they're not doing silly things, they can pick their spot and then charge from halfway. And like as you say, keep him out of frame is going to be impossible. Back in third spot, you know, like we're waiting for a bus. You know, we got a dead heat last week. We got a dead heat this week, and it was quickly decided that the toss of a coin was the best course of action. And Sing Along Dolly got through at the expense of Hot Wood. It's very difficult for the connections of Hot Wood. Obviously, Pat Carey owns it. Jerry Holian is the trainer now. He had consolation with extra gain, but it would have been lovely for Hot Wood to go through. He ran a big race. Sing Along Dolly ran a huge race to qualify. Like she is out with the washing off the second bench. She ran a huge race to qualify.
Yeah, she does, and she showed in the early rounds like that she can take a flyer, and tonight she showed that like even when she's a bad fifth off the second bend, and you know it's not looking great for her, but like the determination for her, like she's not a Cesarewitch winner for nothing, and she showed all that strength and determination to go through. And again, Hot Wood, you have to feel for connections. It's the most horrible way to go out of a competition when technically you have to finish in the first 3 to qualify, and he's finished third, and to go out like that, it's desperately unfortunate. But look, well done to Ballinabulla Jim, the Bold Falcon, and Sing Along Dolly into the quarterfinals.
On to Heat 6, and Bombay Pat got there. He wins in 29:30, and I think this was his best ever run. I thought this was a phenomenal effort. Again, he gives them a start. Short grip, took a flyer. She charges into the opening corner. She leads into the back straight, and we know how good she is. Juvenile Derby runner-up at one point, not beaten far by the sensational Drippy's Flight Line. She's been really coming back to form, no question about it. She enters the back straight with a length or 2 in front. Bombay Pat and Callaway Kinnegare turned on their heels, and you're going, you know, you're thinking Callaway was too close at that point, but Bombay Pat, his pace down the back straight was imperious. It was phenomenal. Took her into the third bend, quickly went on. Callaway looked to get up the inside of the bitch, and she was probably closing the door. At the same time, he's not as fluent as he was. I'd say there's probably a little niggle there from him, but week on week, he's definitely getting better. You know, he's definitely getting better. Listen, Bombay Pat put it to rest into the third bend. Charged on, coasts home. Like, this isn't just a one-trick pony.
No, and I think it was quite imperious how sort of quickly off the second bend he was able to make up the ground in short grip. Like, I feel for Connections in short grip because she ran into Bob on a good night in the first round, and she ran a phenomenal race, and she's run into Bombay Pat in 7 Beach since, and like she's doing very little wrong, and she's come out underneath the bars, and I don't think we can emphasise how good she is. Like, she's up there with the very, very best ladies in training. She's that good, and she's just ran into juggernaut after juggernaut, and I think how quickly Bombay Pat was able to pick her up down the back and just go by her with ease was just incredible viewing to watch. He stays on well enough as well. Like, she's gutsy in game, and look, I think Callaway Kinnegare, I thought we were going to see a huge performance from him. I thought going down the back he'd win, even though Bombay Pat is going by the bitch. I still expected if Callaway Gallagher gets a run off the inside, I knew off the last bench Shark Rip would take a middle course. Bombay Pat obviously swing wide, and I thought Gallagher would have the inside to himself. He's just not driven through at the third bend. We touched on it last week. And it might just be as simple as a confidence thing. Like, it genuinely might. Like, he's had plenty of mishaps and trouble in races since the final of
the step up to 550 yards has been the issue.
Yeah, he's just got caught for toe into the first bend, and he's found trouble even in the prep race before the Derby. He's got trouble everywhere, and he's just a dog. I think a young dog. We must emphasise he's still a baby, a very young dog. Just devoid of confidence. I think at the moment, like he had things so easy through Cork, and then when he came to Shelbourne, he just took him with ease, and he was winning by 10 and 12 lengths every night. And since he's got in behind dogs, he's just, his confidence and just learning to take the right lines and stuff like that just hasn't come as quickly. But I'm sure Owen will get him back. But the engine is there. Like, he's phenomenal gears. Like he really does. Like, we're talking about Bombay Pat and all the ability he has to win in 29:30. I'm not saying he definitely would have won, but in my own opinion, if Gallagher runs the third bend, he picks up Bombay Pat. And what are we saying about him then? Like, we could be saying anything about him. So I think the first three here are as good a first three that went through in any heat. Like Callaway, Gallagher, Shark Rip and Bombay Pat, they're three extremely talented greyhounds.
Yeah. On to Heat 7. This was won by Cheap Sandwiches, who week on week just seems to be getting better and better. I was impressed with him last week. It was a 4-dog affair, and he was expected to win last week. Tonight after the start, Hawkfield Blue is a serious greyhound on the bunny, and you're thinking, we have a race on here. Cheap Sandwiches raced up to him. He runs the remarkable first and second bend, and all of a sudden he finds himself 3-4 clear of halfway. It was phenomenal. Phenomenal. He quickened on again to the third bend. Hawkfield Blue rallies in the closing yards, but it's for show more than anything else, because there is no way he's catching Cheap Sandwiches, who week on week just seems to be getting more and more confident, and he's improving all the time. 29:18 tonight, not off his best start. 16:92. Like, at what point does this fellow become the main danger to his kennel companion, Bockos Diamond? I thought it was a brilliant performance by a dog who really is on an upward curve.
Yeah, he is, and he has been on that curve for the last while. But again, similar to the last race, it was with the ease that he was able to go around Hawkfield Blue. Like, we got to tell people, like, Hawkfield Blue's last two starts before coming into the Derby were 28:07, 28:04, like, and they were off a 2:02, 2:05. Like, he's breathtaking to the third bend, and especially to off the second bend. But just on the crest of the corner, Cheap Sandwiches just has put the foot down and just gone around Hawkfield Blue. Like you spoke about how Bockos Diamond and Carrigallo looked like a great. It was similar. It was just incredible to watch how he accelerated, and God forbid if anything was to happen to Bockos Diamond. Like Cheap Sandwiches, from what we've seen, looks like the next best dog to the third bend, probably with Carrigallo. So he's bang there, and he's getting better, more confident every week. He's absolutely flying. 29:18. You know, like if you take Bockos Diamond now, like, he's bang there with the rest of them. So and I wouldn't be discouraged by Hawkfield Blue. Like, there was a much better start this week than I thought he ran a brave race last week. I thought everything that could go wrong went wrong, and he still managed to show the stamina to only beating a couple of short heads. But this week he's just ran into one tonight in Cheap Sandwiches. But I think the start will fill Ginger with a lot more confidence if he can keep starting like that from the 550-yard boxes. We know he's got early, and Packhill File, I know he's been unfortunate with Fairy Footsteps going out, unfortunately, during the week. But Mustang Fever, she's ever so versatile, she's ever so consistent, and she just keeps putting her name in the hat for the following week. So who knows, she might go through again next week.
Yeah, absolutely. Cracking performance by Cheap Sandwiches. And Hawkfield Blue ran well again. There are people holding vouchers, a big price about Hawkfield Blue, and he's still there pitching, and especially if he keeps coming away from traps like that. And so to the last of the 8 heats, and obviously your BoyleSports Bob was second here. He runs a big race in defeat, but you know, when Undulation gets first run at you at the third bend, you're goosed. He also probably runs the same racing line as her, and you can see him sort of sitting behind her between the last two bends, thinking to himself, will she go out, will she go in? And he waited, and then he sort of had to then decide himself. But it doesn't matter. You're not picking her up anyway. Correct. She's so immensely strong. We've highlighted her the last couple of weeks. It was great to see Brendan Matthews with a victory. They've had some terrible news in the last day and a half, and our heart goes out to them. It's not the platform to be talking about it, but whatever happens on the track is outside the hall door, and that's all we can say. That Undulation, it was a poignant way to finish the evening's proceedings, and while it won't give them any real consolation for what's happened in their lives over the last 24, 48 hours, it was great to see her there and progressing. And in the coming weeks, I'm sure they will appreciate the fact that she's still there pitching in a BoyleSports Irish Greyhound Derby. But this is greyhound racing, and it is pointed that it's not life or death, and we'll leave it at that. Undulation, brilliant. I'm a huge fan. She's been my cliff dog, and I didn't back her tonight. I'm sick over that. As it was, Check for Cash showed terrific early speed to get the better of YI Bonnie Lad into the opening corner. I didn't think that was possible, really, to be honest. I thought YI Bonnie Lad winged out. Check for Cash showed terrific early speed, and you've said it about short grip. Well, he looks in his wing mirrors and he sees Undulation and BoyleSports Bob, and he's going, to hell with this. What am I supposed to do here? And in fairness to him, he runs a big race in second or in third, but the front two are proper greyhounds, and they are big players in the Derby.
Yeah, no, look, I think you summed it up perfectly and said some beautiful words, and I echo them as well. This is greyhound racing, and there's far more important stuff going on, and thoughts to all the connections of the families involved. But look, Undulation, when she traps like that, it's not like she done it 3:30 or 3:40, but when she starts, her last couple of splits have been 3:56, 3:53, 3:58, and she's still managing to run all over greyhounds in those races, and off a half decent start. And I think she does it herself. She's jumping in the. I only noticed it last week, and now I can't stop noticing it. But she's just jumping in the boxes, and it all comes down to nearly if she lands down when the boxes are opening and she can time it right. But like you said, I knew into the first bend. I was both happy and sad. I was pretty confident after the first bend. When we're in the quarterfinal, I also knew after second bend.
Listen, you'll take 2 more second place finishes.
Exactly. Yeah. But I knew after second bend we were hoping for second, because. And like you said about, we've touched on with poor short grip and Check for Cash, I don't think you could have picked 2 more daunting greyhounds to be tracking you off the second bend, and how quickly the two of them exploded into the third bend. And like you said, I think for that split second, Bob was trying to decide whether to go inside or outside, but also like you said, I don't think it would have mattered which way he went. He was never going to pick her up. She's just a phenomenon.
Well, if she's doing 29.16, Bob needs to be doing 29.10 off that start. Isn't possible.
No, and look, if you're looking at it, the flip is where Bob needs to get the better of Undulation is he needs to out-trap her. Now, he's capable of it, but look, for tonight's running, over the moon to go through in second, but she's a serious lady, 29.16. If you take Bockos Diamond out of it, we're ranting and raving about her, but she's shown last week and the week before that the night that everything goes wrong, she can still come through and qualify, and tonight she's showing when she turns in a position how good she is. And Check for Cash, 9 times out of 10 off the second bend, he's not going to have Undulation and BoyleSports Bob sitting on his rear end.
Yeah, we've our last 24. There are four quarterfinals next week. I'm not going to go through the draw or the like of it, but just listen to this. The opening heat has the likes of the Laddie Da. I actually going to name them all here. The Laddie Da, Superfast Gordon, Check for Cash, March on Freddie, Balnabola Jim, Bombay Pat. You look at the second heat. I'm looking at the dogs that'll be shorter prices in the second heat, or in second heat. Untold Dollar, Sing Along Dolly maybe, Lucky Julie, Cheap Sandwiches. Heat 3, De Bull, Falcon, Undulation, BoyleSports Bob, Carrick Aldo. And Heat 4, Callaway, Kinnegare, Short Grip, Scooby Pacemaker, Bockos Diamond and 7 Beach. This is, at this point in the Derby, I can never remember the strength. Been so deep. And yet we have a dog who's going to be 6 to 4, 7 to 4 in the morning for Derby Glory. That sums up his brilliance, but this Derby is far from finished.
Yeah, no, look, and like that, we've probably been in similar positions. Like Dad would always say to me, never fear one dog. Do you know what I mean? And in this Derby, there's more than one dog to fear. There's 6 or 7. And from
I would suggest fear this one.
Oh yeah, well obviously, but he'd be the main one. But the point is there's 6 or 7 dogs there that if they go on and win it, will be a brilliant Derby winner. And everything suggests right now that we're going to have a final to.
Do you ever remember a bad one?
No, and I'd take winning a bad one too. But lucky on Bockos Diamond, I think it's only fitting that we do leave on him. I would urge everyone to come here and watch it live.
There's nothing like seeing them in the flesh.
No, and we probably said this over Pastana and Susie, and we're made to look silly now, but dogs like him do not come along often, and we've been blessed to have a Pastana, Newman Taylor, Susie Safford the last couple of years. This dog's quicker than all of them to the third bend. He's the fastest greyhound ever in Shelburne Park over the 550, and I know we've both got Irish tinted glasses on, but we both
off a fast start. I think this dog will break the track record for a sprint, the 525, the 550, and I don't. You know what? It might just be far enough clear to do the 575.
I don't know, yeah, but like this is the best racing track in the world.
Yeah.
This is the best racing distance in the world. Long run to the bend, long straights, good run home. Like we believe that, and this is the best dog we've ever seen over the trip. So we're into the quarterfinals now, and we'll have to roll up our sleeves and try find a way to beat him. But I all joking aside, I wish the connections. I hope he stays sound. I hope he stays in one piece, and he keeps giving us the performances we've seen tonight.
You know, next Saturday night we have 4 heats of the Derby, 4 heats of the Derby plate, 2 semi-finals at Puppy Oaks. That's going to be a special night's racing.
Oh, it is, yeah. Droopy's Kathleen will be up getting tongues wagging early, and then you're on to Bockos Diamond as a main course later on. So anyone that's not planning to come to Shelburne next Saturday night, make sure you make the effort.
Yeah, why not? Yeah. Why not, indeed. It's a special Derby. We are now down to the final 24. It's safe to say it's going to get pretty tight and tense next week. 24 will become 12. There will be a number of heartbroken connections leaving Shelburne Park next Saturday evening. But there'll also be 12 people or 12 sets of connections dreaming of Derby glory. I'm sure the connections to Bockos Diamond are already starting to dream of it. Who knows? Kevin said it best. Get here to Shelburne Park and see him in the flesh. He's a truly, truly special greyhound. Whether he goes on to win the Derby, well, we'll see on November 23rd. But for the moment, we should just enjoy him. He's a true talent. But he's taking on some exceptional greyhounds in this year's BoyleSports Irish Greyhound Derby. Join us next week for another review, this time of the quarter-final action.